It's about that time of year again. We're about a month away from week 1 of the NFL season, or actually we're a month away as this is being recorded. The Hall of Fame game has been played. Everything is kind of set in stone now. In terms of roster. I know there's some Brandon Ayuk, trade drama going around, but I'm really excited to be making this video. I'm gonna be talking through division by division, from worst to first, I should say, and I'll tell you why I have each team finishing where they finish. So let's get started with the NFC North. So in 4th place, I have the Minnesota Vikings. So obviously in the offseason, they lost Kirk Cousins. They lost defensive line players as well. They've been inconsistent on the D-line and the O-line for years now. They did draft J.J. McCarthy, but at the end of the day, when you lose a franchise quarterback like that, you can ask the Saints, you can ask the Patriots, you can ask even the Bucs, the next year without having some, roadblocks in the way. And it's going to just be a rebuilding year, and they have to adjust to a new era, I guess, if you want to say. Just having them have good talent around J.J. McCarthy, who has potential, but I think there's rumors he's struggling in training camp, and he's asking for, I think, some sort of contract. I don't know, there's something going on, but I don't know how true it is. But yeah, 4th place finish for the Minnesota Vikings. 3rd place, I have the Chicago Bears. So they drafted Caleb Williams with the number 1 overall pick. They obviously added Keenan Allen, taking him from the Chargers as a weapon. Their defense, obviously since they lost Roquan Smith, it's been a little different, but they still got Sweat. They still got Montez Sweat on that team, and I think Caleb Williams, I don't know about him. I'm not fully sold on him, but I think they still have the capability to win some games. So I think it's going to be important for them to kind of show what they're about, especially it's been a while since the Bears have been, anywhere, close to where they would like to be. So, I don't know. I'm unsure about the Bears right now. I could see, again, these going, 3rd and 4th going either way, but I'm picking the Bears to finish above the Minnesota Vikings. 2nd place, I have the Detroit Lions at 10-7. They have made a lot of improvements to their front 7, their secondary. Those were obviously some issues that they had, and then Dan Campbell obviously got a lot of criticism after they blow that, I believe it was 24-7 lead in the NFC Championship game. But regardless, he seems to have his players ready to play. They seem very good this year. My only concern is just a loss like that, can it set back a franchise? When you're right there, it can do so much mentally, and I think just for a franchise that hasn't been there in quite a bit, we'll just see how it makes them either better or just, kind of gives them, I guess, a hangover, if you want to call it. But I think their defense, I think obviously with the Vikings adding Aaron Jones, the run defense is going to be important. And even Josh Jacobs, he's in the Packers, who I'm going to get into in a minute. But the run defense is going to be important for everybody in this division. And that's one reason I don't know if the Vikings can, stand pat. But 1st place, I do have the Green Bay Packers. They lost Aaron Jones, yes, but they, like I said, they just added Josh Jacobs. Jordan Love is coming off as a really, really good quarterback, and I think he's hearing kind of the noise after signing that big contract. A lot of people are saying you shouldn't be able to, I guess, do it with. You should not be able to get a contract like that with just the stretch of games that he has. That's not enough. I think you're gonna see kind of a reverse Deshaun Watson thing where it's he gets paid, but I think he shows out big time, which is something Watson has not done and probably won't do because his contract is fully guaranteed. But I think Jordan Love hears the noise. It's gonna be interesting between the Packers and Lions. I think these two teams. Jared Goff, Amon St. Brown, Jordan Love, Romeo Doubs, Christian Watson. I think that they got some great combos up there, and I think that they both are very capable of taking this division. Now let's go on to the NFC South. In 4th place, I have the New Orleans Saints. I'm not a big fan of Derek Carr. I never was. And it's just, I just don't know how it's going to turn into, because they obviously they're not good on the offensive line at all. At the end of the day, it's just I just don't know, because, who do they have as their backup? It's Dennis Allen, I believe. I just don't think it's a good year for them. I think they finished 5-12, possibly worse. I just don't know with them. I'm not a believer. In 3rd place, I do have the Carolina Panthers. They drafted Xavier Legette. They improved their front 7, and I think Bryce Young has showed a lot of potential. Obviously, their defense is improved. They're a good rebuilding team. I honestly wouldn't be surprised if they win 8 or 9. Honestly, I'm just giving them I think it's more of a bridge year for them, kind of like the Vikings. I just don't know about the Vikings, and I don't know about the Panthers either, because it's kind of a wait and see. Because if you lose or not lose a franchise, but if you have like a franchise quarterback that leaves your team, or you have a rookie quarterback, it's tough to. Not everybody can make, I guess, a Joe Burrow type run, or any type of Big Ben type of run. It's very tough. But in second place, I have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Obviously, they lost Shaq Barrett. Did I say Barrett? Barrett and Devin White. Pretty much everybody on offense is back. Mike Evans. It's just Baker Mayfield. I think he's earned obviously a starting role in this league, and I think he's showcasing that he's a good quarterback, and he's got good personnel around him. So I think they could take the division. They have a strong team, and I think they have a good chance to take this division. But in first place, I do have the Atlanta Falcons. I think that this is going to be a little bit of a shock for everybody, but I like the moves that they made. I think they added Raheem Morris. I'm not sure. That's a good high. I think he's a huge upgrade from Arthur Smith, obviously. Speaking of Arthur Smith, he comes back to Atlanta, so it's kind of a revenge game for him in week 1. But they got a strong wide receiving group. Kyle Pitts is great. I think they have potential to really surprise everybody this year. I know that some people are saying this is kind of a take by default division, but I think the Falcons, I guess the Michael Penix Jr. signing is a little bit odd because Kirk Cousins was confused. So I don't know what their QB situation is going to look like, but I do have them having a really good season, 10-7. NFC South champions. So those are my predictions for the NFC South. Now let's go to the NFC East. In fourth place, I have the New York Giants. Not a big fan of Daniel Jones. Guys, I've been consistent with this. He's not the guy. I just don't have a lot of faith in him. I don't think he's terrible. Like I said, I just don't think he's the guy. And losing Saquon Barkley, that's going to hurt more than anything. They don't have a true number 1 either. I'm not going to go as far as to say Malik Neighbors is definitely going to fill in that role. Allen Robinson, Darius Slayton's on that team, I believe. So a lot of, I guess, potential, but I just don't know how good, obviously, it's going to look like. So I'm a little bit iffy to say they have a true number 1 because Malik Neighbors, sure, he could be good, but, there's a lot of receivers in that class that get compared with each other. They're kind of in a tough spot, and we'll see how Brian DeBall does. He's a good coach. He kind of reminds me of Dan Campbell. I would take Dan Campbell, obviously, but Brian DeBall, I think he's a really good coach. So, moving on to third place, I have the Washington Commanders. Added some good names. Obviously, Austin Eckler, great running back, and they improved their O-line as well. I just don't know. I think they have another season to take into the lungs. Jalen Daniels, and just the franchise in general. So yeah, I'm gonna pick the Washington Commanders to finish at 9-8 in third place. Second place, I have the Dallas Cowboys. I have them at 10-7. I define them as a talented team who just doesn't win because they don't get out of their own way. It's not because they don't spend the resources. They clearly spend the resources. They spend a lot of money. They've spent more than almost every team in the league. But I just don't know because I think Dak Prescott, I'm not trying to hate on him, but I actually really like Dak, but I just think he's holding them back a little bit. Mike McCarthy, I'm not sold on him either. I think that he's, a product of Aaron Rodgers. I guess you can call him that. And then obviously they lost Michael Gallup to the Raiders. Tony Pollard, I believe, left as well. So I think they'll be in the playoffs still. That's just my opinion, but I also just don't know what they're gonna do in the playoffs because it's the Cowboys, man. And I was talking about this, but the Packers, when I was looking at that game, I was watching that game, I was also I picked the Cowboys if you look at my picks video, but man, it was so tempting to pick the Packers, and obviously look what happened. So the Cowboys, not too sold on them, but I also don't think they're a bad team. And I think they'll definitely have a chance to be in the playoffs this year. First place, I do have the Philadelphia Eagles. Hassan Reddick's obviously gone. Jason Kelsey is gone, but they added, Saquon Barkley. They added some significant pieces on defense, and obviously Jalen Hurts is going to be healthy this year, hopefully, knock on wood. Again, I think that they return to form as long as Jalen Hurts. They kind of remind me of another team, and I'll tell you in a minute. But, they started 10-1 last year, and then obviously lost in the wild card. So there's a disastrous end to the season for them. I don't think the Dallas and Philly, they just don't go back-to-back. Or at least it doesn't seem like it quite some time. Because obviously Dallas won in 2022, or 2021 I should say. Eagles won 2022. Dallas won last year. I think the Eagles will take it this time. So I have the Philadelphia Eagles with a bounce-back season. I think they're going to be on a mission this year. So let's go on to the NFC West, the last division. In fourth place, I have the Seattle Seahawks. They improved their O-line, they improved their linebackers, but they lost a lot of offensive weapons. I just don't know how it's going to be for them. They lost Pete Carroll, obviously. I don't have to get into that. So it's kind of a new era. It's kind of like the Patriots in a way because it's just a rebuilding year. And you can talk about Geno Smith. He was talking a lot about they didn't write me right back. And that's why I say I have all the respect in the world for Geno Smith. But it's very hard to be consistent in the NFL because the moment that you hear these guys, talking, and then all of a sudden they're just not there, right? So I have them at 6-11. I think it's a rebuilding year, but I think they win some games at least. Third place, I had the Arizona Cardinals. I think they made some good additions, obviously. Fellow Buckeye Marvin Harrison Jr., they got good O-line, but I think it's all up to Kyler Murray, man. If he's healthy, I think he's a really good quarterback. I honestly do. But there's still a few pieces away, man. I feel like they got a couple more seasons to take into their lungs. I think Kyler Murray, especially coming off injury, has a few more seasons to take into his lungs. So I have him in third place. They're going to be pretty good, I'd say. I'll say 8 and 9. I'm not to be surprised to go 9 and 8, 10 and 7. I have the Cardinals as one of the surprise teams, actually. But saying the Cardinals finish in third, I don't want to give. I think the Cardinals finish in third, to be honest. I think they finish above Seattle, if they're healthy, of course. Second place, I have the Los Angeles Rams. So Aaron Donald retired. Obviously, since their Super Run, Andrew Whitworth, Jalen Ramsey, now Aaron Donald, Von Miller, everybody, they want a ring out of it. So I wouldn't be any, bit upset at all. But they got a strong receiver in Puka Nacua. I know he got injured at training camp. I don't know his status, but hopefully he's all right. And then Cooper Kupp is due for a bounce back year with injuries and just some terrible games. So I think they're going to keep themselves alive in the playoff race, and I think they have a little bit of a down year, I guess, but it's still a winning season. I think they still have a good chance to make it. So I'll have a video on that, by the way. I'll have a video about who makes it and when. This is just division picks. But taking the division, I have the defending NFC champion, San Francisco 49ers. Explosive offense, strong defense. I don't know what's not to like about it. Obviously, Brandon Ayuk is a little bit on the fence, but CMC is a monster. I think this team is the most talented team in the league. I can't say that I fully have faith in them, but I think they lost, obviously, what's his name? Clint Farrell, as he was a defensive end. They also lost Randy Gregory. Chase Young is not going to hurt that much, I guess, but we'll see how it goes. But CMC is going to continue to do his thing. I think Brock Purdy, he's only going to get better. So hopefully that Super Bowl loss, it doesn't sting them too much, but, just see how it unfolds. But I have the 49ers in first place, 13-4. I think they have a great season ahead of them, and we'll see what happens. Now we go on to the AFC North. This is my division. In fourth place, I have the Cleveland Browns. I have them at 9 and 8. They made some good moves on defense. I just don't know about Deshaun Watson, like I said, and I just don't know about them getting out of their own way. I just think that he's been playing the victim card and all. I just think that some of the stuff that that's kind of came out and what stuff he said, I just cringe and I find it creepy. But I'm not going to talk too much about it. He's just not been who he was in Houston. I just don't know if it's going to continue because, just the time off has really, really hurt him. And an injury can only hurt him more. And Nick Chubb, is he going to be healthy for the start of the year? Is he going to be himself after the injury? All that is really up in the air. Obviously, Jerry Jeudy is a good addition to their core as well. They got rid of Joe Flacco. They signed Jameis Winston, so their quarterback situation is not that bad, but because they have some, name brands in there, that could be good. So yeah, in fourth place I had the Cleveland Browns. Third place I had the Pittsburgh Steelers. They had a good offseason. They improved the offensive line. They got 2 steady tackles. They added Patrick Queen. TJ Watt's back healthy. He was healthy last year, but he's been struggling to miss, find games, all the games to play. But strong draft. This division is very tough. So third place for them, it should not be something to hang their head over. And then obviously the biggest headline is they got a new quarterback room. Wilson, Fields. I think Russ is going to win the job. And then pass on the keys to Fields, I guess, when he's ready. Second place I have the Baltimore Ravens. I know that everybody's going to give me hate for this, but they lost key players. They lost Mike McDonald. I think that's going to really sting. He's the head coach of Seattle now. So I think Seattle's defense could take a boost as well. You never know. But losing key players like Geno Stone to us, Patrick Queen to the Steelers, so I can laugh at them and say that they lost 2 players to 2 rivals. But I think they had a good draft, and they still got Roquan Smith on that defense, even though I'm not a fan of some of his antics. It's not they obviously got Lamar Jackson. I'm not gonna say here and tell you he's a running back, but I don't think it's gonna be an insult to say that him and Derrick Henry could be a deadly combo at running back, because they both are very good athletic people. And then say Flowers, I mean, I know he fumbled in the AFC Championship game, but I think he has in the back of his mind, like, how can I improve from this year? So I think the Ravens are a dangerous team. I wouldn't be surprised, like I said, if they take this division. But in first place, I have the Cincinnati Bengals, my Cincinnati Bengals. Burrow's injury last year, still won 9 games, so nothing to hang your head over, like I always say. T. Higgins is in a contract situation right now. This could be his last year in Cincy. Burrow to Chase, when it's healthy, man, it's lethal, and I think it's just something to behold, and I think that they are on an absolute mission to get everybody who disrespected them, who beat up on them, and I just don't know, because the experience is there. On defense, on offense, the experience is there. There's no question about that. I guess T. Higgins is going to play through this year, obviously, because we franchise tagged him. Jamar Chase had a little hold in. I mean, he showed up. He just didn't practice. So I think he's also putting pressure, and I think that's good. Honestly, I think that's good. Don't blame the players one bit. I think it's important, So Burrow being healthy, if Joe Burrow's healthy, we finish in second at the bare minimum. I just don't see us being any lower than that. So I have the Bengals actually taking the AFC North back for the 3rd time in the last 4 years. Now we go on to the AFC South. In 4th place, I have the Tennessee Titans, finishing with a record of 7-10. They lost a lot of players this offseason. They're starting a rebuild. It's just not looking good for them. I'm hesitant to say they even win 7 games, because I have them. Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if they win 5 or 6. I mean, they sold a lot of key players like Derrick Henry, and I just don't have a lot of faith in them. That's it. That's all I can say about the Tennessee Titans. 3rd place, I have the Jacksonville Jaguars. I'm not trying to hate on Trevor Lawrence. I think he's a good quarterback. He has a lot of talent. The offensive line, I guess, is better, but their true number 1 is still in question. I still have questions about who is that true number 1 receiver, and who is the leader on that team. You could say Trevor Lawrence is the leader, but I haven't seen that yet, because obviously I think he got hurt. He's good. Like I said, he's not elite, but he's good. And I think, they're still seeking potential. So I have them at 9-8. I think they still have a decent season. But in 2nd place, I have the Indianapolis Colts. They had a good draft picks. Success is on Anthony Richard's health, period. Like I said, I think they'll be in the mix. I think they're closer to the Texans than people give credit for. They were competitive in that the game against the Texans. I mean, it's just that C.J. Stroud and the Texans, they pulled through. So, 2nd place, I have the Indianapolis Colts at 10-7. 1st place, I have the Houston Texans at 12-5. I'm very high on them. One of the best off seasons. They added, obviously, former Bengals running back Joe Mixon. They added Stephon Diggs. They added a lot of defensive upgrades. C.J. Stroud is just on a mission this year, I think, too. Some of his podcast stuff is so funny with Micah Parsons. But, I think he's still poised for a great year. They're a tough team to beat, man. They're definitely a contender in the AFC, definitely top 5, probably top 3, if you ask me. Top 3, top 4, whatever it is. We can debate that all day. But, yeah, AFC. I think the Texans win the AFC South, but C.J. Stroud is the main guy. I think it all comes down to him, and I think the Texans fans feel nothing but incredible after last year. And don't let anybody try to take away this hype, because honestly, I think it's well-deserved. Now we get on to the AFC East. In 4th place, I have the New England Patriots. Bill Belichick is gone. Gerard Mayo is taking over. It's officially a new era. I mean, Drake May is going to get the start for them, I believe, week 1. He just doesn't have anybody to throw to. And I think that it's just a new era, and I think that it's going to be tough for him to navigate his way through the first few weeks, especially playing on a bad team. That's just how it worked. But I think the growing pains is just going to hurt him. I hope in week 1 we can get to him as well, just kind of shatter his confidence, but we'll see what happens. But in 3rd place, I have the Miami Dolphins. I know that a lot of people are saying they're too low. It's not so much about them. They had some good players. They got Shaq Barrett. I think their offense is going to be, I guess, better. I don't know. I mean, it depends on Tua. But I think the defense is going to keep them in games. But in 2nd place, I have the New York Jets, because like I said about Tua, Aaron Rodgers just passed his prime, but I still think he has a couple more in him. I think that he has the greatest arm that, in terms of accuracy and poise that I've ever seen, and I think that many people have ever seen. The offensive line, it's concerning, but They still have a stacked defense and a solid run game. So that's all I can say. But I know a lot of people are counting this team out. But I have the Buffalo Bills actually taking the division again. They lost some key players. Like I said, they lost Stephon Diggs. I have some faith in Josh Allen. How they're gonna, I guess, respond to people counting them out. Because obviously they released Jordan Poyer. I think they released their center, Valdez-Scantling, I guess, who was amazing with obviously the Packers and Chiefs. But we'll see. I'm not gonna give up on Buffalo yet. I still think as long as Josh Allen's there, you have a chance. Period. I don't know how Stephon or Trevon Diggs feels. We'll see if that Saquon distraction ends up being a distraction or it's something that propels us going forward. Moving on to the AFC West, guys, the last division. In fourth place, I have the Denver Broncos. This was probably easy. Just not sold on them. I don't know how much I can say. They downgraded at quarterback. They lost a lot of key players, and Sean Payton, I think, is very overrated right now. In third place, I have the Las Vegas Raiders. They lost Josh Jacobs. They have a little bit of a questionable quarterback conversation. So I think is Gardner Minshew on the Raiders? Yeah, I think he's on the Raiders. So I think if you were to start a game with him, I think you give him the start. He has the best chance to win them in some games, I think. But regardless, I just don't see him competing for the last two. Sorry, I blanked out for a bit. Second place, I have the LA Chargers. I don't have them, winning the division for obvious reasons, but I do have them being kind of a surprise team. Like I said, I was convinced to change it to probably 10-7. I convinced myself almost. So I'll say 9-8 for now, only because I put it down first time. That was my first gut, but don't be surprised if they go 10-7 because I think even though they lost key receivers on that team, but Justin Herbert's gonna have to step up this game. I mean, I think that he's a great talent. Obviously, they have Jim Harbaugh now. Which is obviously, you can say what you want about Jim Harbaugh. He's an obvious upgrade over Brandon Staley. But I think they'll be very competitive. I just think it's unfortunate they play in this division. I think that you will see this team probably in the playoffs, if I had to say. Because I might change up my records in the next video, guys. Because this is just kind of like my rough sketch. But most of these are probably going to be consistent. So yeah, I have them finishing 9-8. I don't think that's much of an insult. But in first place, unfortunately, for everybody else in that division, I again have the back-to-back defending Super Bowl champion Kansas City Chiefs. I have them at 11-6. That may sound low, but as long as they have Patrick Mahomes, Andy Reid, they'll be fine. They're the team to beat in that division right now. But regardless, I do have the Chiefs finishing in first because they just don't seem to be slowing down. I think they're very motivated to go for the three-peat. Will they? We'll see. It kind of depends. The receiving core isn't good, but I'm still not going to favor against them from now on. I just think this season kind of proved, how dangerous they truly are, not to count them out no matter what. So I think they take the division, honestly, pretty comfortably. I know the records may not sound like that, but I think they take this one pretty comfortably. But that's all I got to say, guys. These are my division picks, man. I know it's controversial. I know a lot of people are... kind of up in the air about it, but these are my picks, and I am super tired right now. I was out all day, and then I just said, hey, I'll record this, and I am super tired right now, so I'm going to hit the hay and post this tomorrow. But you guys take care. Football is back. Let's go Bengals, and we will see what happens.